So a couple of weeks ago when we were upgrading Danny Double D from Danny D, putting him in a new case, giving him some new hardware, one of the things that I did was also upgrading to Windows 11. I was concerned because like every odd-numbered Star Trek movie, every other deployment of Windows is pretty much horrible. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember Windows Vista, Millennium Edition, Windows 8. I mean, there's a list. Anyway, I did it, and I don't hate it. Now, there are some good things. Some things that it took just a few minutes to get used to, some things that I think are good, and some things that bothered me a little bit that I wasn't really that happy with, but it's not quite the deal breaker. Some of the good things. I like that my applications now stay where I put them, even if the computer goes to sleep or the monitor gets turned off or anything like that. I can turn the monitor back on, or I can, wake it up and boom, whatever I was working on, say if I had, web browser, folder options, whatever the deal was, if I had something on, open, operating, whatever, it came back and it's on the same screen that it used to be. I think Windows 10 probably should have had the ability to do this. It did not. And it was very, very frustrating sometimes. But now all my applications stay where I put them. If I've got 3 different screens working. So when I put something, say I've got a Word document in the middle, I've got a YouTube video going on one side, then I've got a spreadsheet on the other screen. Now, if I go away or head out to lunch or something like that, come back, it's all still where I left it. So I am pretty happy about that. Also happy with the way that they've got the snap. You can snap the different size applications, so you can use more screen space. Say you're watching different YouTube videos, or you're following a couple of different streams, or whatever the case may be, and you're watching football scores or something. You can snap those into 4 different parts of your screen. Use halves, you can use thirds, you can, different sizes, and it gives you a variety of different ways or different sizes that you can use your apps so that they look clean and they look good, and it's customizable in some respect. And I think it is something that I didn't know. It's one of those you didn't know that you wanted it until you started using it, and then you found it pretty convenient and you don't want to go back. So I find that when I'm playing around with a Windows 10 machine and it doesn't do that, it's like, oh man. So, but that's okay, because the other part of that too is I'm using 3 screens here. So using one screen with Windows 11 is okay, because I can move that stuff around a little bit. But on Windows 10, I just have the regular snap function where I can split it in 2. I think that might also do 4. I haven't tried. But I do like the different size options that you can move applications to, and they'll stay there. So that's a big plus as well. The rounded corners on the windows and the icons being in the center and all my little shortcuts and all that stuff being in the center, I got pretty used to that fairly quickly. I actually kind of like that now. It's a little bit of a smoother look. I could have moved those shortcuts back over to the left and then done whatever and made it as close as the Windows 10 start as I wanted to or could. But I kind of like where they are. I also do like the fact that they are now on all 3 of my screens. Before on Windows 10, it was only on the primary screen and the other ones that didn't have them. So now it's on all 3 screens. If I've got something I'm busy working with on the middle screen, so far it's worked for me that I can go over to another screen and click on it and it'll pop up on that screen. And so that works out pretty well also. The start menu, I don't have the ability to scroll through all the apps anymore, but that's okay, because a lot of times I have shortcuts for what I need. They're either on my desktop or in the menu bar at the bottom. And the search function for that works out pretty well. If you're searching for the app, you can find it pretty easily. Windows does have a thing where it still wants you to use Bing. So sometimes if you're trying to use the search that's on the taskbar, almost always it's going to try to bring you up a web page. No, click on the little Windows icon, let it bring you up into the apps, and then search there, and it'll show you all the programs. I don't need a website telling me what that program is. I already know what it is. I installed it. More than likely, I installed it. I just want to get to it. That's not hard to ask. I did notice that pretty much everything that worked before works now. I haven't seen any issues as far as applications not working. There's one exception, Borderlands 3, but I was having issues with that before I switched to Windows 11. And I'm back to having those issues now. I don't know how I got it fixed the last time. I think I did I uninstalled it, did a clean install on another drive. I don't remember if that solved it or not. I've tried different things like looking through the event finder or the logs, running as administrator and all that. That and Cyberpunk, but I was having problems with Cyberpunk before, so I'm not sure I'm going to fix that. But I don't have that problem on Danny Double D or anything else that I've been running Windows 11 on. It was just this computer that's shown up like that. So I've got a feeling that I'm running something in the background on this computer that's interfering with that. Everything else has worked fine. All my games, I went through and I did a bunch of testing, benchmark testing, to see if there was still that issue, because when Windows 11 came out, there was a big issue with AMD processors getting anywhere from 5 to 15% worse performance in games than Intel processors because of the scheduler. That seems to be fixed now. Everything that I was testing seemed whether it was within margin of error, either a little bit more or a little bit less, and it was just fine. I didn't have any noticeable drops in performance at all, and everything seems to work just the way it did. Some things have a slightly different interface. For instance, if you're copying and pasting, that is going to look just a little bit different, but it takes a little bit to get used to. But overall, most of the applications work out pretty well. We will talk about one in a minute, or one little thing that's in the less than pleasant side, but we'll get there in a few minutes. That's one of the features that I find that I really do like about Windows 11 is that instead of now, say I've got File Explorer open, and I used to have, you'd click on it and it'd bring it up, and then you'd click on another window and it'd bring something else up, and you might have 3, 4, or 5, and in my cases, sometimes several open windows or open, little windows of whatever, a File Explorer, and you'd have to go through and it's like, where the heck did I put that? Where did I leave it? And if you had it on different screens and your TV or if your monitor got shut off, or you walked away a little bit or whatever and came back, it's in a totally different place now anyway. So it's all, it would all be back on your central screen or your main screen, and it'd all be a total mess. Now you have the option of adding a tab into your File Explorer. I haven't discovered where else this exists, but this exists. I mean, it's existed for a long time in, say, PDFs, web browsers, and all that. It's about time that Windows File Explorer, which is a glorified browser of a type, is able to do this same thing that their web browser was already doing. I don't know why that was never in Windows 10 or any other previous version, but I find that I really do like having multiple tabs open instead of multiple windows open. It's a lot less confusing. It's easier to find things, and I can just copy and paste or whatever really quickly between tabs, whereas before I would have to go and switch and minimize or maximize or swap screens or whatever the deal was when I was trying to use different windows of File Explorer. It was just, that wasn't nearly as fun. We'll just leave it that way. Overall, I do like the look and the feel. I like how it's pretty intuitive. I'm not upset about anything that I've switched, but there are some things that I don't quite like, that I do find a little bit annoying. And as much detail as they put in some of the other things, you would think that some of the basic stuff would work. For instance, PC Health Checker is supposed to tell you if you can upgrade to Windows 11 from Windows 10. Sounds easy enough. It checks for two main things. Well, it checks for a couple of things. But the two main stoppers that people have a problem with are not the number of cores and not the amount of memory or anything like that. It's having a trusted point module, which can either be on the motherboard or on your CPU, and secure boot. Secure boot, both of these can be set up in the BIOS, but most of the time you have to have hardware that supports that. Well, in the case of what is now going to be my server, but used to be my main rig, it has Windows 10 Education Edition on it. And now I don't know if that might be part of the problem. I'll have to discover that a little bit. But it definitely has secure boot enabled, and it definitely has a trusted point module in it. It says they can't find the secure boot, that it's not installed, and I need to go to my BIOS. Well, my BIOS says it's installed, that it's enabled. So who's lying now? So I didn't care for that too much. So that is not that's not Windows 11 yet. I'll have to discover why that's the case, and we'll have to kind of figure out. But that's one of the little things that will, I don't want to say cause me the most problem, but that's one of the things that I thought would have gone pretty easily, and it did not, has not yet. Another thing is that say you're trying to open a file and you right click on it and it gives you options to, copy, paste, whatever. Also gives you options to open with a particular app. Well, in this case, it was trying to open with Paint 3D. No, it says it's not supported. It gave me an error that says that application is not supported or something like that. And why did you give it as an option if I can't use it like that? So I don't know how many of those are out there, but I did find that, at least that one. And that was a little bit of an annoyance, because you figured that would be pretty simple. After all, that worked on Windows 10, and it doesn't seem to work now. And it doesn't seem to be anything with my hardware or anything, because it's an actual Windows 11 error. So we'll see if that gets resolved, maybe in an update, maybe somewhere, somehow, some way, whatever the deal is. But yeah, so little things like that. If I've got a list of 10 or 12 things I like and a list of 2 things that I don't, overall it's a success. Overall, it's a success. And I would say that, they're A- to an A on the overall. I actually kind of liked Windows 10. There were some features that I didn't, but I would probably give it about the same grade when I upgraded from Windows 7. Loved Windows 7 and Windows XP. But when I upgraded to Windows 10, I probably give it about the same score as I'm upgrading to Windows 11. So overall, it's not bad. And they did make Windows 10 better over the years. Same thing as they did with Windows 7 and Windows XP. So maybe they'll make Windows 11 a little bit better as well. I know they have done a considerable amount as far as things like the scheduler and all that, and making sure performance is the same. But we've got a whole new set of CPUs, GPUs, and all that stuff that Windows has to get used to. So hopefully with drivers and updates and all that stuff, it'll do okay. So overall, it definitely gets a passing grade. I would say it gets like I said, an A- to an A. It's not something that it's going to make my socks roll up and down, but I was definitely happy making the change. Relatively easy to go ahead and upgrade. All I had to do was click, yeah, I want to do it. It said it's going to take a little while, download in the background, let you know when we're ready. And after, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, it popped up and it said, oh, by the way, this is ready if you want to. And it took a few minutes to go ahead and actually upgrade and install. So it wasn't too bad. I don't know, depending on your upload and download time, and depending on the amount of memory or your processor or something like that, your results are going to vary. It might take you longer, or it might take you shorter to go ahead and download and install it. I don't know. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not upset, and I can take the bad things with the good ones. I can get over those or get used to those. They don't affect all of the machines I'm working on. They only affect 1 or 2 of them. In the case where this machine, something that was working, that I got working again in Windows 10, doesn't work in Windows 11, but I'll figure it out again. And in the other case, I can't even put Windows 11, so we'll see. My notebook actually has a 7th gen Core i3 processor, so it's not eligible to upgrade, even though it does have Secure Boot and a TPM and all that stuff in it. It's just one of those things that they said, oh no, that series of processors is not eligible. Well, I'm like, okay, fine. But so yeah, it is what it is. In any case, I'm okay with it, and very much so. And if you haven't been able to tell, I'm pretty well pleased overall, and so I think that's a good thing. So if you're sitting on the fence and you're not sure, and you're just one of those holdouts, it's like, you know what, I'm just not going to do it, not going to do it, not going to do it. Think about doing it. It's not too bad. I was one of those people as well, because my work computer runs Windows 10. Everything else was running Windows 10, and I was fat, dumb, and happy with that. I wasn't going to change anything, and yeah, I ended up being okay with it. So if you're sitting on the fence, yeah, and feel like taking a chance with it, yeah, it's not a bad idea. Give me your feedback. Let me know. Have you already made the switch? Do you like it? I know it's been over a year since it's been out. Maybe 2 years. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a while since it's been out, and by now most everybody else has switched over. And I think it probably everything new is being shipped with Windows 11 anyway. So you've bought a new computer or a laptop or anything like that in the past year and a half, it's definitely had it on it. So yeah, let me know down in the comments and tell me what you like about it or what you don't like about it. I'm kind of curious to hear. That is all I have this time. So if you got anything out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and especially subscribe, please, please, please. I'm trying to hit 1,000, but to do that, I got to hit 700. So maybe with you guys' help, I can do that. But don't forget to visit me on the other socials and all that stuff too. But the only other thing I'm going to ask you to do is the same thing I ask you every time, folks, and that's just be nice to each other. You know, just smile, wave, hold the door open, greet somebody, tell them hello, tell them hi, good morning, or good evening, or whatever the case is. You find that you probably feel a little bit better doing that. And you know what? I've said this before too. You have no idea what kind of influence you can have on somebody's day just by being kind. You got no idea. You have no idea what they might be going through, and that might be the one thing that day that makes their day just a little bit better. And it doesn't cost anything. So, yeah, that's all I got for right now. So until next time, when I'm looking at a couple of different things. For instance, in this box right here is a PCI adapter for an M.2, and it clearly says PCI 3.0, but we're going to test it with 4.0, see if I still get 4.0 speeds. And, yeah, just to prove it's in the box here. So we're going to test that out. Also going to be looking at Wi-Fi adapters, a couple of them, a couple of generic ones, and compare it to what speed you would actually get on a motherboard. So how much better or worse is a Wi-Fi adapter than what's actually on your motherboard in the first place. So we'll kind of take a look at a couple of those and see if we can't make any determination. If anything else, it ought to be fun comparing, right? So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that is all I have for this time, folks. The only thing left to do is just tell you that I'll see you later.